The next thing is work. So essentially, in terms of your work, how much work you do, it will vary from person to person, right? For me personally, and a lot of other people that I know, leading up to like big exams, you try to do a little bit of work, right? Obviously, you've already been preparing for like the past, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, right? The last few days, you're not going to learn anything major that's going to give you a big boost. But you do want to do a little bit of work so you don't get rusty, right? Some of you probably, if I asked you now, you probably couldn't recall the trapezium formula, right? And then some of you probably could. I know all of you raise your hands because you can. But some of you don't know it, some of you do know it, some of you are somewhere in between, where you're a bit rusty. If you don't touch it for like 2-3 days, you'll forget it. So essentially the goal of the last week, the little bit of work that you're doing, is just to keep you refreshed so that you don't forget your knowledge that you've learnt, right? Especially the stuff that you kind of know, but not 100% confident with. In terms of how much work I would recommend, maybe around 1 or 2 days a night. So 1 or 2 hours a night. This is obviously under the assumption that you're going to school. If you're staying home from school, maybe 3-4 hours, split into 2-hour blocks. Two lots of 2-hour blocks. It's up to you. It's up to your own personal preference. Although I enjoy doing work every day up until the exam, including the night before the test, some students prefer to simply relax on the night before the test. That is fine, but don't relax like a whole week or 3-4 days before the exam, because you will start to forget things. You get rusty. I personally like to just, still do a bit of work the night before. Usually I like to go through my weaknesses, things that I know I'm weak at. So for example, if I was weak at math formula, right, or the formulae, I can't remember them very well. What I would do the night before is try reciting them and then go to sleep. That's it, right? Very light work. The next thing is your sleep schedule. So sleep obviously is very important, right? And you need to get enough for your brain to function properly. If you don't get enough sleep, you can't think straight. For everyone, it's different. Most of you guys will be about 8 to 9 hours a night. Me, it's probably like 6.5 to 7. If you have to wake up at 7 a.m. before school, 10 p.m. would be a good time to sleep, right? You don't want to be sleeping at, say for example, 12 a.m. until 7 a.m. for all the nights, until the exam, and then on the night before, try to sleep at 9 or 10. Right? Because some people, their bodies can't adjust that quickly. So you want to start sleeping at the hours that you want to sleep on the night before the exam. You want to sleep at those hours for the whole week leading up to the exam. On the night before the exam, a lot of you will be very nervous, right? I've had students who told me that they vomited on the morning of the exam, a lot of stress. To be honest, the student who did that, she got into Ruse, so I guess it didn't really matter that she vomited. But probably wasn't pleasant, but I mean, it worked out all right at the end. Everyone will be nervous to some degree, so big exams for me, I will go to bed like an hour and a half before, 2 hours before, just lie there. Even if I can't sleep, I just lie there, and then, because if you want to go to sleep from 10 to 7, you don't want to go to bed at 10, because you're not going to fall asleep immediately, especially if you're stressed. So go to bed at like 8 or something like that. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, good.